Welcome to Miss Smart Muses, where everything is awesome. And you know what else is awesome? It is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and Bronte rather, or however the heck you pronounce it. And you know what? It's not awesome. It's a dumb movie. Well, I am not watching it. Usually I will try to watch something before I do, but my gosh, I have read the synopsis. I mean, I'd heard some spoilers about what was going to be happening about it in it before, but it is so vile that I can't even secondhand talk about it, let alone see it. I do not want those images in my head. So no. But we're going to do the real one, the real story, which is amazing, deep, and says a lot about, true love, true goodness, and all this, and the evil of revenge. It's a very demonic tale, if you will, in the kind of positive sense of the word. It's she's not demonic. Emily Bronte is not, nor is the book. What I'm saying is that it really goes into the depths of evil. Now, the movie makes the mistake of thinking it's all about sex and other things that I'm not even going to say out loud. But no, it is about the soul and redemption. So we're going to continue on. Let me see. If you haven't seen the first part, maybe go and watch that. I go into an introduction that none other than Charlotte Bronte did. Yes, we love Charlotte Bronte here at Miss Martin Muses. She's amazing. And she knew her sister, of course, better than anybody, and she knew her work. And it's very interesting that even though a lot of people were kind of horrified by it when it came out in 1847, I believe was when it was published, or when it was written, I forget which one. Bronte historians will help me out there. But even though, despite that, people were horrified, people also recognized its genius. It's never been out of print. Charlotte Bronte explains why and everything that's going on here, and good stuff. Well, let's continue. Last time we had John Lockwood showing up. Did I say John Lockwood? Is his first name John? I don't know. Why did I say Lockwood? I did. That's his name. But maybe there's another character that has that first name. But in any case, it is Lockwood. He showed up at Wuthering Heights like, hey, I'm the new tenant. Yay, here I am. And everyone was like, psycho, go away. I heard somebody describe this opening scene that Lockwood, it is though he came upon a crime in the midst of being committed, like he interrupted a crime occurring. And that's not exactly entirely a wrong description of it. So here we go. Yesterday afternoon set in misty and cold. The theme, but also the way it is there. I had half a mind to spend it by my study fire. You should have. Instead of wading through heath and mud to Wuthering Heights. Yeah, you got to wander through mud and to get to Wuthering Heights. On coming up from dinner, however, note well, I dined between 12 and 1 o'clock. Well, I'm glad you're here to tell us these things. The housekeeper, a matronly lady taken as a fixture along with the house, we all know who she is, could not or would not comprehend my request that I might be served at 5. All right. On mounting the stairs with this lazy intention and stepping into the room, I saw a servant girl on her knees, surrounded by brushes and coal scuttles, and raising an infernal dust as she extinguished the flames with heaps of cinders. It's amazing that the whole planet didn't have asthma back then. Maybe they did. I saw a servant. Oh, yeah, there she is. The spectacle drove me back immediately. I took my hat, and after a 4-mile walk, 4 miles, arrived at Heathcliff's garden gate just in time to escape the first feathery flakes of a snow shower. Man, you dumb. On that bleak hill, yes, it's very bleak, top the earth was hard with a black frost, and the air made me shiver through every limb. Dude, are you figuring out you just need to turn around and go home? We're going to see he absolutely does not. Being unable to remove the chain, All right. There's a chain that you can't remove. Hint number 2000. I jumped over, dumb, and running up the flagged causeway bordered with struggling gooseberry bushes. Ooh, gooseberries. Knocked vainly for admittance. Yes, no one's answering the door. They don't want you there. This is an inhospitable place. Till my knuckles tingled, ouch, and the dogs howled. Yeah, the dogs that nearly killed you yesterday or the previous day, I believe it was. Wretched inmates. Wretched inmates. We all know that the wretched inmates are more than the dogs. You deserve perpetual isolation from your species for your churlish inhospitality. Ah, well now. Oh, well. You deserve perpetual isolation from your species for your cheerless inhospitality. Yeah, it's hospitality. He's talking about the dogs, but maybe he's talking about the people. At least I would not keep my doors barred in the daytime. I don't care. I will get in. So he's at a place that's not modern day places, not modern day urban places, that it is chained during the day. All right, which hint are you missing? I think you're missing, my goodness gracious. Um, in any case, it is. This guy's so dumb. He's gonna figure it out, though. He is definitely gonna figure it out. Where is it? Where was I? So resolved, because you're a dummy. I grasped the latch and shook it vehemently. Why? Vinegar faced vinegar. Look at all these symbols, man. This woman. Joseph projected his head from a round window of the barn. What are you here for? I'm not even going to try to do this Yorkshire thing. He shouted, and the way that she writes it, I'm not even sure I understand what he's yelling. I think he's like, go around the back if you want to speak to him. I think I translated that correctly. Is there nobody inside to open the door? I hallooed. There's none about Mrs., and she'll not open it up. So the Mrs. is not allowed to open it up. Why? Cannot you tell her who I am? Not me. And I don't know what else he's saying, muttered the head, vanishing. The snow began to drive thickly, so the weather is buffeting him. I seized the handle to essay another trial. When a young man without coat, here we go, let's describe him. When a young man without coat, shouldering a pitchfork, appeared in the yard behind, he hailed me to follow him, and after marching through a wash house and a paved area containing a coal shed, pump, and pigeon cote, we at length arrived in the large, warm, cheerful apartment where I was formerly received. Yeah. So the large, cheerful apartment. Is he being sarcastic here? Or does he actually mean it? And hello, everyone coming in. Welcome to Miss Smart Muses. It glowed delightfully. Hey, things are happy here in the radiance of an immense fire. So this is a lot nicer than before. Or is it? Compounded by coal, peat, and wood. Yeah, this is reminding me of Ireland. I was pleased to observe the Mrs., an individual whose existence I had never previously suspected. Aha, so we learn about the girl. I didn't even know she existed. I bowed and waited, thinking she would bid me take a seat. She looked at me, leaning back in her chair, and remained motionless and mute. Rough weather, I remarked. I'm afraid, Mrs. Heathcliff, the floor must bear the consequence of your servant's leisure attendance. I had hard work to make them hear me. She never opened her mouth. She stared also. At any rate, she kept her eyes on me in a cool, regardless manner, exceedingly embarrassing and disagreeable. Have you yet figured out you're not welcome? Sit down, said the young man gruffly. He'll be in soon. I obeyed and hemmed and called the villain Juno, who deigned, at this second interview, to move the extreme tip of her tail in token of owning my acquaintance. A beautiful animal, I commenced again. Do you intend parting with the little ones, madam? They are not mine, said the amiable hostess more repellingly than Heathcliff himself could have replied. Yeah, so some of the times these adjectives are a little bit sarcastic. Ah, your favorites are among these, I continued, turning to an obscure cushion of something like cats. A strange choice of favorites, she observed scornfully. Unluckily, it was a heap of dead rabbits. Dead rabbits, animals. Diabolical, this whole place. I hemmed once more and drew closer to the hearth, repeating my comment on the wildness of the evening. You should not have come out, she said, rising and reaching from the chimney piece two of the painted canisters. That's where tea is, because tea keeps you warm. And you would know if you were ever there. It's cold. Gosh, this makes me want to go visit the moors and just be cold and drink tea. Her position before was sheltered from the light. Now I had a distinct view of her whole figure and countenance. She was slender, and apparently scarcely past girlhood, an admirable form, and the most exquisite little face that I have ever had the pleasure of beholding. Small features, very fair, flaxen ringlets, or rather golden, hanging loose on her delicate neck, and eyes, had they been an agreeable in expression, would have been irresistible. So she's pretty. Fortunately for my susceptible heart, the only sentiment they evinced hovered between scorn and a kind of desperation. Scorn, desperation, singularly unnatural. Unnatural to be detected there. The canisters were almost out of her reach. I made a motion to aid her. She turned upon me as a miser might turn if anyone attempted to assist me in counting his gold. I don't want your help, she snapped. I can get him for myself. Please pretend that I'm doing this in a perfect British accent. I beg your pardon. Were you asked to tea? She demanded. Demanded. Yeah. Not very ladylike. Tying an apron over her neat black frock. She's wearing black and standing with a spoonful of the leaf poised over the pot. I shall be glad to have a cup, I answered. Were you asked? She repeated. No, I said, half smiling. You are the proper person to ask me? She flung the tea back, spoon and all, and resumed her chair in a pet. Her forehead corrugated and her red underlip pushed out like a child's ready to cry. Ready to cry. Meanwhile, the young man had slung onto his person a decidedly shabby upper garment, and erecting himself before the blaze, looked down on me from the corner of his eyes, for all the world as if there were some mortal feud unavenged between us. I love the way she describes it. Yeah, definitely did not liking each other, or he's not liking him. It's like I can just imagine him like, what I do? That's a fancy way of saying this, like as though there was some mortal feud unavenged between us. I began to doubt whether he were a servant or not. Yeah, things are all mixed up and messed up in this world. But you know what is not mixed up or messed up? It is Dead Man Walking. Good afternoon, Triple M, listening while I'm at work. Oh, well, I'm happy to hear that. And I'm happy that you are here. Yes, Wuthering Heights, the real story. It's dark, but genius. Absolutely, it is. And for those of you that will be listening on the replay or lurking, tomorrow night at 5 p.m., I will be on with Dad Man Walking. We're going to be talking lots of cool stuff. So go ahead and go over there and subscribe to him. All right, so we're back to the guy that he doesn't know is a servant or not. His dress and speech were both rude. He's rude. Entirely devoid of the superiority absorbed in observable in Mr. and Mrs. Heathcliff. So they do have that kind of haughtiness, that kind of superiority. That is not present in this guy. His thick brown curls, were rough and uncultivated. He's wild. His whiskered encroached bearishly over his cheeks, so bare, like an animal, and his hands were embrowned like those of a common laborer. Still, his bearing was free, almost haughty, and he showed none of a domestic's assiduity in attending on the lady of the house. So he doesn't come across as a servant. And Deadman Walking says, love that segue. Yes, we'll be talking to you tomorrow year, 6 p.m. and 5 Central. Thank you for that. Absolutely, absolutely. It's going to be good times. It's been a while since we've yapped. Or rather, on a live stream. Let's see. In the absence of clear proofs of his conditions, like, who is this dude? I exclaimed. No, he didn't exclaim. I skipped a paragraph. I deemed it best to abstain from noticing his curious conduct. Yeah, nothing to see here. Everything's just normal. And 5 minutes afterwards, the entrance of Heathcliff relieved me in some measure from my uncomfortable state. Yes, history and bands, maybe. Yes. Well, we can certainly talk bands. You know more about bands. I know about orchestras. And, I'm always up for talk about Lord of the Rings because, of course, this is the 25th anniversary of the movies, but I've also been encouraging people to read the books along the liturgical year this year. So you can still catch up if you want to do that, or you can just read it anytime you want because guess what? Guess what? It's awesome anytime, any day, day and night, night and day. I should say rather when I say the liturgical year, the liturgical calendar, the book actually follows it. So you can look at Appendix B or the liturgical calendar to read it correctly and how it corresponds. I meant orchestra in those bands, and yes, Lord of the Rings. Okay, that makes sense. That's true. Yeah, we both have stories, don't we? Those are good times. Isn't this weird, though, to go back to the story that the entrance of Heathcliff relieved him from the uncomfortable state? So that shows you how chilly things are here. Ooh, he watched Return of the King in the cinema. Yes, it is awesome. Yes, we love the Return of the King here at Miss Martin Muses. You see, sir, I am come according to promise, I exclaimed. You weren't invited, dude. Get a grip. Read the room. And I fear I shall be weather-bound for half an hour if you can afford me shelter during that space. Half an hour, he said, shaking white flakes from his clothes. I wonder you should select the thick of a snowstorm to ramble about in. Do you know that you run the risk of being lost in the marshes? People familiar with these moors often miss their road on such evenings, and I can tell you there is no chance of a change at present. So, yeah, and if you miss the road in that kind of weather, you will not survive. You will not survive. I remember recently, I watched The Hound of the Baskervilles with the Rathbone one, and that was a plot point. Like, you'll die. You can fall into something. They're still finding like petrified cavemen type characters or characters from way back when in the bogs in Ireland because some dude, when he's being Mr. Hi, prehistoric man, walking around, got lost and falls into a bog and becomes peat. Or preserved in the peat, rather. You're going to die. Even people familiar get lost. Perhaps I can get a guide among your lads, and he might stay in the Grange till morning. Could you spare me one? He is really encroaching upon the hospitality here. I mean, imagine having the nerve to not be invited, to go out when you shouldn't, and then say, can you give me a guide? It's like, really? No, I could not. Frankly, I might say that. Oh, indeed. Well, then I must trust to my own sagacity? Humph. Or oomph, however you pronounce that. Are you gonna make the tea? Demanded he of the shabby coat, shifting his ferocious gaze from me to the young lady. Is he to have any? She asked, appealing to Heathcliff. Get it ready, will you? Was the answer. Uttered so savagely that I started. Yeah, you can feel the discomfort. It's like it was bad. The tone in which those words were revealed the tone in which those words were said revealed a genuine bad nature. No longer felt inclined to call Heathcliff a capital fella. "You think? Like, you think?" When the preparations were finished, he invited me with, "Now, sir, bring forward your chair." And we all, including the rustic youth, drew round the table, and a austere silence prevailing while we discussed our meal. Now, I think discuss, they're not talking about it. I think he means he's kind of eating it. There is a note here that we're not going to read because I think I know what that means. I thought, if I had caused the cloud, it was my duty to make an effort to dispel it. Okay, here's your shovel, pal. Just keep digging. They could not every day sit so grim and taciturn, and it was impossible, however ill-tempered they might be, that the universal scowl they wore was their everyday countenance. "Oh, little you know." "It is strange," I began. "It is strange how custom can mold our tastes and ideas." It's like, dude, shut up. "Many could not imagine the existence of happiness in a life of such complete exile from the world as you spend, Mr. Heathcliff. Yet, I'll venture to say that surrounded by your family, and with your amiable lady as a presiding genius over your home and heart—" "My amiable lady," he interrupted, with an almost diabolical sneer upon his face. Diabolical. These people are animal, savage, diabolical, demonic. "Where is she, my amiable lady?" "Isn't he awful?" "Mrs. Heathcliff, your wife, I mean." "Well, yes. Oh, you would intimate that her spirit has taken the post of ministering angel, and guards the fortunes of Wuthering Heights, even when her body is gone. Is that it?" "Yeah, dude. Well done." Perceiving myself in a blunder, I attempted to correct it. "I might have seen that there was too great a disparity between the ages of the parties to make it likely they were man and wife. So even back then, it was like, hey, that's quite a change in your ages, but it wasn't unheard of." Heck, it's not unheard of today to a certain degree. One was about 40. So now we learned that about Heathcliff. The dude's about 40. "A period of mental vigor at which men seldom cherish the delusion of being married for love," by girls. "That dream is reserved for the solace of our declining years." The other did not look 17. So some dude 40-ish, the chick 16. Then it flashed on me. The clown at my elbow is drinking tea out of a basin and eating his bread with unwashed hands. Barbaric. "Maybe your husband. Heathcliff Jr., of course. Here is the consequence of being buried alive. She has thrown herself away upon that boor." Yeah. So he's saying that she's buried alive on that boor from sheer ignorance that better individuals existed. So he's thinking, oh man, she's so isolated, she doesn't know that there's better men. "A sad pity. I must beware how I cause her to regret her choice." Man, dude. Okay, I've said it before and I've said it again. I'll just say it one more time. So dumb. The last reflection may seem conceited. It was not. My neighbor struck me as bordering on repulsive. Finally? You're getting it? I knew through experience that I was tolerably attractive. "Mrs. Heathcliff is my daughter-in-law," said Heathcliff, corroborating my surmise. He turned as he spoke, a peculiar look in her direction, a look of hatred, unless he has a most perverse set of facial muscles that will not, like those of other people, interpret the language of his soul. No, it's interpreting quite accurately. Quite accurately indeed. "Ah, certainly. I see now you are the favored possessor of the beneficent fairy," I remarked, turning to my neighbor. This was worse than before. He's trying to be polite, my gosh. The youth grew crimson red and clenched his fist with every appearance of a meditated assault. Yeah, well done. You're about to get punched in the face, dude. But he seemed to recollect himself presently and smothered the storm in a brutal curse, muttered on my behalf, which, however, I took care not to notice. Unhappy in your conjectures, sir, observed my host. We neither of us have the privilege of owning your good fairy. Her mate is dead. I said she was my daughter in law, therefore, she must have married my son. And this young man is not my son, assuredly. My goodness, he is so verbally abusive. Heathcliff smiled again as if it were rather too bold a jest to attribute the paternity of that bear to him. A bear, he's an animal. My name is Hareton Earnshaw, growled the other, and I'd counsel you to respect it. So now we know he's Hareton. So we have Mrs. Heathcliff, we have Heathcliff, and we have Hareton Earnshaw. I've shown no disrespect, was my reply, laughing internally at the dignity with which he announced himself. He fixed his eye on me longer than I cared to return the stare. Yikes. For fear I might be tempted either to box his ears, oh little you know, or render my hilarity audible. I began to feel unmistakably out of place in that pleasant family circle. Remember from chapter 1 how he should have noticed that? The dismal spiritual atmosphere overcame, it's overbearing, and more than neutralized. It neutralized the glowing physical comforts around me. So even though the things that he described as happy, glowing, and all that stuff, it was now extinguished by these terrible, gloomy people. I resolved to be cautious how I ventured under these rafters a third time. Yes, you should have gotten it the first time. Dead Man Walking saying, sorry I was late, but isn't there a new movie remake of this now? Yes, there is. And it is so vile, I can't even talk about it. It's not even close to the book. So that's what made me want to revisit this. And boy, am I glad I did. There is so much depth in here. I'm only on page 14? So he approaches the window at this time to look at the weather. A sorrowful sight I saw. Sorrowful. Dark, dark night coming down prematurely. So we have dark coming down prematurely as it's come upon Mrs. Heathcliff, in my humble opinion, and sky and hills mingled in one bitter, bitter whirl of wind and suffocating snow. Suffocating. I don't think it's possible for me to get home now without a guide, I could not help exclaiming. Dude is kind of being rude, even though they're being rude back. The roads will be buried already, and if they were bare, I could scarcely distinguish a foot in advance. Yeah, like Heathcliff told you. Hareton, drive those dozen sheep into the barn porch. They'll be covered if left in the field all night, and put a plank before them, said Heathcliff. He ignored him. Like, go get the sheep, save them. Yes, actually, please do save the sheep. How must I do? There was no reply to my question. Looking around, I only saw Joseph bringing in a pail of porridge for the dogs and Mrs. Heathcliff leaning over the fire, diverting herself with burning a bundle of matches which had fallen from the chimney piece as she restored the tea canister to its place. The former, which he had deposited his burden, took a critical survey of the room, and in cracked tones grated out, I can't actually even try to do Joseph speak. I think he's bawling him out. He's like, "You're all being idle," or he's being idle. Oh, he's talking to Mrs. Heathcliff. Okay. You you can fashion a stand there in idleness when everything's going about. I think he's saying. Then he goes, you'll never mend your ill ways and go straight to the devil like your mother before you." That was bad translation from Yorkshire accent English. So basically saying the mother before you, so mother before you was wicked and that's where you're going to go. Yes, Dead Man Walking said, "Wow, that must be bad. I watched the movie The Firm and hated it so much I went and read the book." Yeah. Well, trust me, this is worse. Just look at the trailer. I imagined for a moment that this piece of eloquence was addressed to me. Even I thought that at first until talked about like your mother before you. And sufficiently enraged, stepped toward the aged rascal with the intention of kicking him out the door. Mrs. Heathcliff, however, checked me by her answer. You scandalous old hypocrite. Are you not afraid of being carried away bodily whenever you mention the devil's name? Ooh. I warn you to refrain from provoking me, or I'll ask your abduction as a special favor. Yes, from the devil. She said, ooh. Stop, look here, Joseph. She continued, taking a long, dark book from a shelf. I'll show you how far I've progressed in the black art, and I shall soon be competent to make a clear house of it. The red cow didn't die by chance, and your rheumatism can hardly be reckoned among providential visitations. So she's saying, hey, I'm doing witchcraft on you. Ooh, yeah, I am a daughter of the devil. She's not, but she's obviously provoking him. Oh, wicked, wicked, gasped the elder. May the Lord deliver us from evil. Well, actually, that's a very good prayer to have with these people. No reprobate bait. So now we have reprobate. You are a castaway. Castaway. Be off or I'll hurt you seriously. I'll have you all modeled in wax and clay, like making a kind of voodoo dollish thing. And the first who passes the limits I fix shall, I'll not say what he shall be done to, but you'll see. Go. I'm looking at you. So she's playing into this that she is a daughter of perdition. The little witch, this is what the narrator is calling her, little witch, put a mock malignity into her beautiful eyes, and Joseph, trembling with sincere horror, hurried out, praying and ejaculating wicked as he went. So I think that the narrator is seeing that, yeah, she's playing an act. She's doing it, but she's doing it to have a go at him. But then again, he just said that she's going to go to the devil. You're going straight to the devil. That's not very nice. So she's like, fine, I'll be straight to the devil. I thought her conduct must be prompted by a species of dreary fun. Now that we were alone, I endeavored to interest her in my distress. Mrs. Heathcliff, I said earnestly, you must excuse me for troubling you, I presume, because with that face I'm sure you cannot help being good-hearted. So he's thinking because she's pretty, she must be good-hearted. Do point out some landmarks by which I may know my way home. I have no more idea how to get there than you would of how to get to London. Take the road you came, she answered. She sits down in a chair with a candle and all that, and her book is open. She's going to read. She doesn't care. It is brief advice, but as sound as I can give. Then if you hear of me being discovered dead in a bog or a pit full of snow, your conscience won't whisper that it is partly your fault? How so? I cannot escort you. They wouldn't let me go to the end of the garden wall. Yeah, so she's saying I can't. But interestingly, my first thought was, okay, so because, you're a woman, you got skirts and all that'd be too dangerous. But she says, they wouldn't let me go to the garden wall. Who's they? And the fact that she's not even allowed to go to the garden wall. Is she a prisoner? You? I should be sorry to ask you to cross the threshold for my convenience on such a night, I cried. And it's like, I wouldn't ask that of a lady. I want you to tell me my way, not to show it, or else to persuade Mr. Heathcliff to give me a guide. Who? There is himself, Earnshaw, Zillah, Joseph, and I. Which would you have? Are there no boys on the farm? No, those are all. So that's unusual. We're learning here that there should be some boys like on the farm, probably some orphans that they snatched up to work. Then it follows that I am compelled to stay. Oh dear. That you may settle with your host. I have no I have nothing to do with it." So she's like, "I don't have anything to say. You gotta talk to Heathcliff." "I hope it will be a lesson to you to make no more rash journey on these hills," cried Heathcliff's stern voice from the kitchen entrance. I agree with Heathcliff. "As to staying here, I don't keep accommodations for visitors. You must share a bed with Hareton or Joseph if you do." So I don't have a guest room, so sleep with Hareton or Joseph if you do. Back then, that wasn't uncommon. It wasn't considered weird. People shared beds all the time. It was almost a survival, a necessity. "I can sleep on a chair in this room," I replied. "No, no. A stranger is a stranger, be he rich or poor. It will not suit me to permit anyone the range of the place while I am off guard," said the unmannerly wretch. Unmannerly wretch. So essentially, what he's saying is, I don't want anyone wandering around the house when I'm off my guard, meanwhile he's asleep. So he wasn't even being nice, saying, "Hey, you can sleep with them. It'll be fine. They got nice beds." It's like he wants them to guard him. With this insult, my patience was at an end. I uttered an expression of disgust and pushed past him into the yard, running against Earnshaw in my haste. It was so dark that I could not see the means of exit, and as I wandered round, I heard another specimen of their civil behavior amongst each other. Lots of sarcasm there. "I'll go with him as far as the park," he said. "You'll go with him to hell!" exclaimed the master, or whatever relation he bore. Yeah, he's still confused about Hareton. "And who is to look after the horses, eh?" "A man's life is of more consequence than one evening's neglect of the horses. Somebody must go," murmured Mrs. Heathcliff, more kindly than I expected. Yeah, that's the first time that we have seen her be a little bit nice, a little bit human. "Not at your command," retorted Hareton. "If you set store on him, you'd better be quiet." I was telling her to be quiet. "Then I hope his ghost will haunt you, and I hope Mr. Heathcliff will never get another tenant till the Grange is a ruin," she answered sharply. Ghosts haunting. "Hearken, hearken, she's cursing on them," muttered Joseph. Yeah, so he really does think she's a bit of a witch, but she's been quite abused into it. Yeah, so Joseph's within earshot milking the cows by the aid of a lantern which I seized unceremoniously. Went and stole the dude's lantern. And calling out that I would send it back on the morrow, rushed to the nearest postern. "Meister, Meister, he's stealing the lantern!" "Hey, dog, Wolf, hold him." So he sets the dogs on him. Two hairy monsters, woo, flew at his throat. Yeah, you don't want to mess with dogs. Bearing down and extinguishing the light. While a mingled guffaw from Heathcliff and Hareton put the copstone on my rage and humiliation. Copestone. I think it means that it was like highlighting it. It was like the pinnacle of it all. "Hello, it is Jamie Lynn Simons. It is good to see you guys." Saying hello. And then hello, Miss Martin. Hi, DM. Oh, Dadman Walking. Ah, thank you. And thank you and hello. We're reading Wuthering Heights and reviewing it. So if you've never read it, maybe read along with me. It's good times. Fortunately, the beasts seem more bent on stretching their paws and yawning and flourishing their tails than devouring me alive. So ultimately, even though that they are guard dogs, apparently they were not taught to kill. "But they would suffer no resurrection. I was forced to lie till their malignant masters pleased to deliver me." Ah, yeah. So they were taught to pin him down. He deserves this, by the way. Then, hatless and trembling with wrath, so he's mad now, I ordered the miscreants, to let me out. Ooh, let me out. On their peril to keep me 1 minute longer. See, there's lots of symbolism about Wuthering Heights being a prison. Prison that people want out, and we're going to learn that a prison people went into. With several incoherent threats of retaliation that in their indefinite depth of virulency smacked of King Lear. So, what's the whole point of this King Lear? I am going to go to the note on that because I had to go and I think it has something to say. So, King Lear, chapter 2 notes. Okay, smacked of King Lear in the verses, I will have such revenges on you both that all the world shall. I will do such things. What they are yet I know not, but they shall be the terrors of the earth. So that's the kind of vengeance he's wanting on these people at this point. The vehemence of my agitation brought on a copious bleeding at the nose. Man, he was so mad. He his nose started bleeding. I can relate. And still Heathcliff laughed. They're sitting there laughing at him. And still I scolded. I don't know what would have concluded the scene had there not been one person at hand rather more rational than myself and more benevolent than my entertainer. This was Zillah, the stout housewife, who at length issued forth to inquire into the nature of their uproar. So she's minding her own business and going, "What's happening? What's wrong with you all?" Who at length oh, wait, we just got that. She thought that some of them had been laying violent hands on me, and not daring to attack her master, she turned her vocal artillery against the younger scoundrel. "Well, Mr. Earnshaw," she cried, "I wonder what you'll have again next. Are we going to murder folk at our very doorstones? I see this house will never do for me. Look at the poor lad, he's fair choking. You mustn't go on so. Come in, come in. I'll cure that. There now. Hold ye still." So she brings him in. She's like, "Man, I'm gonna get out of here." Okay, me too. Working hard and listening. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, hello. Well, and welcome, welcome. Thank you to welcome to Smart Muses. Um, we do fun things here. Everything is awesome. And I talk about what makes me laugh, makes me cry, happy, sad, or what really ticks me off. I think that this makes me have a lot of emotions, but because it's a really odd book, but a great book. Odd's the wrong word. I shouldn't say odd. It's a great book. With these words, she, the housekeeper, splashed a pint of icy water down my neck and pulled me into the kitchen. I think that was to chill it, calm down, maybe? Because I'm like, what are you doing that to that guy? Mr. Heathcliff followed his accidental merriment expiring quickly in his habitual morosement. Yeah, the fact that he's happy, he says it's an accident, accidental morosement. Um, accidental happiness, because he's usually awful and miserable. I was sick exceedingly and dizzy and faint, and thus compelled perforce to accept lodgings under his roof. So yeah, man, now I'm sick, I'm dizzy, I'm faint, and I gotta stay here. It's like, be careful what you wish for. You shouldn't have gone out there when you didn't even get an invitation. You weren't welcome. This guy is so innocent, though. I guess he just didn't comprehend that that was a possibility. He told Zila to give me a glass of brandy. Well, that's kind of nice. And then passed on to the inner room while she condoled with me on my sorry predicament, and having obeyed his orders, whereby I was somewhat revived, ushered me to bed. So he got a glass of brandy to kind of revive him, make him not so nuts. Maybe he's gonna get sick from all this. And she's ushering him off to bed. Dad Man Walking saying, "Now cue the Lego movie song, Everything is Awesome." That's what I was thinking too. You've seen the movie? I have not, or I've seen the movie. I don't if you've seen the movie, oh my goodness. Have I seen the movie? No. I mean, the newest one, absolutely not. I mean, it's not even first of all, it's not even close to the story. Second of all, oh man, I mean, I've seen some adaptations of Wuthering Heights that take a few liberties here and there, but man, what I've heard's in this movie is like nothing compared to what it's supposed to be. I mean, it's just yeah. And I'm glad you're here. Well, I'm glad you're here too. Yay, we're happy people here. So that's that. I was going to read 2 chapters today or read and review them, but my goodness, took a while. I mean, we're at the 45-minute mark. I've got to go pick up a prescription for my cat because he's a cat, needs medicine. He's fine. He's just, the cat has issues. Um, so, anyways, um, what have we learned? We've learned that there is a new tenant who is dumber than a rock, apparently, when it comes to reading the room at Thrushcross Grange. We know that Wuthering Heights is there. It's miserable. They're rude. They're brutish. They're animal like. They're diabolical. I mentioned earlier that it was like coming upon a crime scene in the midst of a commission, the commission of a crime scene. There, Heathcliff is like demonic and awful, verbally abusive. We're going to learn a little more about how the abuse goes to Mrs. Heathcliff, who is his daughter-in-law, and his son is dead. Hareton is there, but he is not his son. He's not a servant, but he's also brutish. He's dirty, animal-like. You got Joseph, who I guess has got some sort of piety to him because he keeps invoking the Lord when Mrs. Heathcliff is making it out that she's a witch and cursing him. But he called her a witch first, going to the devil. And there is a housekeeper that's like, "What's wrong with y'all? There's something wrong with you." We know that Heathcliff doesn't want him wandering about. Well, and we also know that, dude, you shouldn't have gone out there. They didn't want you to come back. And he practically had to break in to come. I mean, if you have to break into a house to me, there's issues there. Obviously, they don't want you around, and you don't want to be around. He finally figured it out, but I'm like, my gosh, man. My gosh. And now he's going to bed. So maybe things will be okay. He's got a warm bed. That's a long book. It is indeed. I've learned that you despise the new movie. Well, we've learned that women are empowered in Hollywood. Yeah, but if this is empowerment, I want no bit of it. No bit of it at all. Beyond the fact that it's vile, I've also heard there doesn't seem to be a point to it. Yeah. Well, we knew something was wrong when they had it come out on Valentine's Day and that they called it like one of the greatest love stories that was ever told. It's like, this is not a love story. This is a horror story. So with that in mind, I'm going to be clearing off. Hey, I want to thank everyone that's come in the background. I want to thank Dadman Walking for being here. Jamie Lee, I can't talk. Jamie Lynn Simmons, thank you for being here. Always good to see new people in the chat. And going to be having more the Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We're going to definitely be reading that, the second book, once the series is over. Cowboy Campfire is going to be happening. And I might be doing some more Lord of the Rings, maybe like character readings, like maybe like let's look at Frodo in the Lord of the Rings. Let's look at these different characters. So, yep, have it. Take care, Miss Martin, Muses, and Jamie. Well, we definitely will. Thank you. I'll have to ask more about the vile aspect another time. Well, it's so vile. Like I said, just Google it. I'm not entirely a prude, but I literally, not only won't I say it online because I'll probably lose my channel, it's so vile, but I mean, I can't even repeat it. It's that vile. I mean, it's bad. Really, really bad. Really bad. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Yes, please do. Please do. And oh, yeah, one of the perks if you want to become a member is you will get shout out. So thank you, Prophet of the Dragon, Salty Traveling Sea. Thank you, Snortapupus Kuber, Sean Sue, and Deeple 101. Thank you very much for your support and being a member of Miss Martin Muses, a muser of House Rose. So have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. Yes, it's that bad. And be certain to read the books and not the movie.